What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy. Welcome back to more Bible reading stuff, which I am tentatively, at least with the thumbnails, entitling the Scripture Scoop. Scoop as in, like the word, the news, that kind of stuff. Because I didn't want to keep calling it Wednesdays in the Word in case I, branch out to other days of the week. But I like alliteration too much. So, Scripture Scoop, there's your alliteration. Anyway, alright, so we're getting into Genesis chapter 13 this time. We just, if you remember last chapter and last week, or whenever the last video was relative to this one, in the last chapter. So, Abram, left for the land of Canaan, settled kind of near there. Then there was a famine. He traveled to Egypt, but then got kicked out of Egypt because, long story short, he didn't exactly tell the truth about his wife, said she was only his sister. Pharaoh tried to marry her, but then plagues and trouble came upon Pharaoh's house. And so he's just like, no, you know what? Enough of this. Get out of here. So anyway, that's where we now have Abram and all them. So, chapter 13, verse 1. So Abram left Egypt and traveled north into the Negev. Traveling the opposite direction now because of coming from Egypt. Anyway. So Abram left Egypt and traveled north into the Negev, along with his wife and Lot and all that they owned. Abram was very rich with livestock, silver, and gold. From the Negev, they continued traveling by stages toward Bethel, and they pitched their tents between Bethel and Ai, where they had camped before. This was the same place where Abram had built the altar, and there he worshipped the Lord again. Okay, so I'm assuming it's saying that in this particular moment, Abram again worshipped the Lord, possibly because he saw the previous altar and was reminded of what God had done for him. I don't know, but in any case, I suppose the other option would be that, it's saying that this is the place where he worshipped the Lord a second time after the first time of worship because of going to Canaan. I think the former option seems a bit more likely, just because, saying again, it's a bit vague if you assume the second meaning or the second situation. So I'm assuming then that, Abram is worshiping the Lord a third time, essentially. But anyway, the whole being rich thing is about to come into play a little bit. Verse 5. Lot, who was traveling with Abram, had also become very wealthy with flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, and many tents. But the land could not support both Abram and Lot with all their flocks and herds living so close together. So disputes broke out between the herdsmen of Abram and Lot. At that time, the Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land. I assume that parenthetical note is kind of to help explain, well, why are they living so close together? Why wouldn't they just, expand out and live somewhere else? I don't know for sure if that's actually the case, but it at the very least kind of implies that there were also these other people groups there, in addition to Abram and Lot and all their possessions, which included animals, which need space to live and roam and graze and whatnot. So I think that's, at the very least, further emphasizing the point that there it seemed there was kind of a lack of available space where they were. So, anyway, verse 8. Finally, Abram said to Lot, "Let's not allow this conflict to come between us and our herdsmen." Or, sorry, between us or our herdsmen. Because the conflict was between their herdsmen, not between themselves and their own herdsmen. That makes no sense. Anyway, after all, we are close relatives. The whole countryside is open to you. Take your choice of any section of the land you want, and we will separate. If you want the land to the left, then I'll take the land on the right. If you prefer the land on the right, then I'll go to the left. Okay, so Abram offers a solution that would help alleviate their problems of lack of space. So they're going to, I guess, go elsewhere, I guess to the countryside from where they were. I don't know for sure how settled and developed that land between Bethel and Ai was. Somebody who was amongst the initial readers of this would probably have an idea. But in any case, so the solution was, hey, let's go somewhere else. Let's go where it's a bit more open. And tell you what, Lot, you get first choice. So, verse 10. Lot took a long look at the fertile plains of the Jordan Valley in the direction of Zoar. The whole area was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord or the beautiful land of Egypt. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. A parenthetical there is mostly significant to the initial readers. Also to us, but to the initial readers who would have just automatically, without even thinking about it, probably have known that Sodom and Gomorrah were not very, fertile land at that point, at the moment in time when they would have been reading or hearing this. Because then it's like, okay, wait, you say it's fertile, but this place isn't fertile. Oh, this was before that. Okay, sure, I guess it could have been fertile then. Anyway, verse 11. Lot chose for himself the whole Jordan Valley to the east of them. He went there with his flocks and servants and parted company with his uncle Abram. So Abram settled in the land of Canaan, and Lot moved his tents to a place near Sodom and settled among the cities of the plain. But the people of this area were extremely wicked and constantly sinned against the Lord. That's going to come into play later, but let me not get ahead of myself. That's not even in this chapter. So, here we go. Abram officially settling in the land of Canaan, which was the land that God had shown him before and promised to him. But, Lot had chosen the land that, I guess, looked more fertile and inhabitable, and not saying Canaan was like a barren wasteland per se, but it was clear, at least at the time, to Lot that, hey, this land over here is some really good land. We could seriously grow some good stuff here and, have some pretty easy living, or so it seemed. So yeah, Lot picks the Jordan Valley, and Abram ends up then in the land of Canaan. So anyway, verse 14. After Lot had gone, the Lord said to Abram, "Look as far as you can see in every direction, north and south, east and west. I am giving all this land, as far as you can see, to you and your descendants as a permanent possession. And I will give you so many descendants that, like the dust of the earth, they cannot be counted. Go and walk through the land in every direction, for I am giving it to you." So Abram moved his camp to Hebron and settled near the oak belonging to Mamre. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation. There he built another altar to the Lord. Anyway, What was that? There was a little star thing. 1315 descendants. Okay. So the word that they end up saying as descendants here, the Hebrew more closely translates to the word seed, as in, like offspring and that kind of meaning of it. So, anyway. So that's actually it for the chapter here. So God, kind of confirms his promise to Abram about, living in the land of Canaan and having many descendants that would live there. And it's apparently a vast area, because he's essentially like, yeah, look all around you, everywhere that you could see, all this space, that's yours and your descendants. So then Abram moves there, lives there, builds another altar there, because he is once again thankful to God for, his promises and his provision and all that. So, yeah, that's another kind of short chapter, but still kind of important. So that stuff will set up some other things. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the land of Canaan here is like the promised land that will be referred to multiple times throughout the Bible, and some other stuff's going to happen where Lot settled, but that's coming up here pretty soon. So you'll see why that's important before too long. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of it for what's going on here. I'm really, probably more so than other times that I've read through this, I'm really noticing Abram's thankfulness and continued, worshiping of God, building of altars, and all this kind of stuff. So, some of these altars that are built by, various people, especially those who, are chosen by God or have a close relationship with God or whatever, like a lot of these altars end up, serving, or at least helping to serve as sort of landmarks for future occasions as well. But we'll get there when we get there. But I did want to at least specifically point out that Abram seems to have that real, positive spin, look on the bright side kind of attitude, at least when it comes to his relationship with God and God's provision, and just not wanting to take that for granted, at least. So anyway, that's all the more I will comment on that chapter and what's going on there. So, as always, like the video if you enjoyed it, share it with others if you want them to see. If you want to keep track of what I'm doing here, subscribe to my channel, click the bell. That'll give you updates when I post new stuff. Look down in the description for info on other social media pages and how to find and follow those. And of course, leave comments down below all that with any thoughts that you have related to this chapter or other connections elsewhere in the Bible, whatever. Any ideas you have for me, whatever it is, let me know down below. So that's going to do it. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I will see you for the next chapter and the stuff that happens there. But whatever the case is, until next time, stay cool, people.